You want to hear it or not?
Sure, let's hear it. Just got built up now. Now I did, man. We're gonna bring it back.
You know what? Let's just get on to quiet, silent meditation, okay? I'm done with y'all already. I think it was. I think it's interesting, right? So, of course, everybody thinks their own dreams are interesting. They might be the most boring thing to somebody else when you're trying to describe it. But I often wonder, why we dream the things we dream. It's almost amazing. One of the things that I always use as an example is like when I'm dreaming and there's a knock on the door, I don't know who's on the other side of the door. I get up in the dream and open the door, and I'm always surprised at the person on the other side, but it's my dream. I am the dream. I am the dreamer. I'm the one getting up and going to the door. I am the door, and I am the person on the other side of the door. It's all in my imagination. So how could I, in the dream, not know who's on the other side of the door? You know what I mean? So I'm not a huge dream analysis person, or I don't put a lot of stock in dreams, but the dream I had last night was kind of interesting to me. Um, Hold on, let me let Shane in because I know she's a dream expert. So,
Because you know I got something to say.
so I dream that I walk into this banquet hall and there's these long tables. People are sitting together on these long tables, and I'm carrying this plate full of food, and there's an empty space between these two ladies, and I'm also accompanied by a female, but I don't know if we came in there together, but we definitely knew each other, and she was carrying a plate too. So she walks around to the other side of the table, and she sits down almost catty corner from me. So I sit on this side of the table, and she sits on that side of the table, and I can't make out really who she is. I just know that we know each other, and I don't think we came there together. But we definitely kind of were familiar with each other. And so we're sitting at this big banquet table, and there's a lady up front walking around with a microphone, and she's talking. And the lady that had come in with me, she said, too bad it's not us up there at the microphone. We would own this crowd immediately. And I started chuckling because, my Mark Stolze, who's usually in these woke house things, he always says that I love the microphone. I never miss a chance to grab a microphone and do something, right? And so I thought that me and this lady might have done training together or did presentations together or did something. But she was thinking, I wish we were running this conference or seminar or whatever it is, right? So I look down at my food and I start eating, and the lady that's walking around with the microphone, she's talking about A Course in Miracles. And so the lady sitting next to me, I say, what are y'all eating? Because there was only 3 things on her plate. And she said, we're eating A Course in Miracles. It's a 3-course meal. And I say, okay, what do you mean? And she pulls out this brochure, and it's got 3 pages. It folds out into 3 different panels. And on the first panel, there's bread. And it's saying that bread is a metaphor for the first part of A Course in Miracles. And then the second part is mashed potatoes. And mashed potatoes are a metaphor for the second part of A Course in Miracles. And then the last panel is roast beef. And that's a metaphor for the last part of A Course in Miracles. And I'm going, this is kind of stupid, but kind of ingenious too. And she said, yeah, but you have to pay for the roast beef. You have to pay for the last course. And I'm like, really? And she goes, yeah, the first 2, the bread and the mashed potatoes, are free, but if you want the roast beef, you got to pay for it. And I'm going, man, this is stupid cool. Like, to have a seminar and give away the first 2 parts free, but charge for the last part and make it about food. And so I'm like, wow. So I start eating. I got a full plate of just everything you can imagine on my plate. And the lady hands me the brochure, and I start looking at it, and she reaches over and she taps my hand. And I look at her, and she's taken a piece of her bread, a piece of her mashed potatoes, and a piece of her roast beef and put it beside my plate, like she was sharing it with me. And I said, oh, no, I'm not a part of the seminar. I didn't pay for that. And she goes, no, I want you to try it. I really want you to try it. And I was like, oh, God, like, number one, I had more on my plate than I could possibly eat. And 2, I felt kind of bad because she had paid for it. And I'm trying to be like a vegetarian, so I can't really eat roast beef. Now, occasionally I do, go get a cheeseburger from Whataburger. So I'm not opposed to eating meat sometimes, but... And then I felt bad because she was being so sweet. So I was like, okay, so I popped the bread in my mouth and I ate it. I popped the mashed potatoes in my mouth, and then I put the roast beef in my mouth. And I started chewing it and chewing it and chewing it and chewing it and chewing it, but I couldn't swallow it. I just couldn't swallow it. So I spit it out in a napkin when she wasn't looking, and I put it to the side. And I was thinking, how can these Course in Miracles people eat meat? I don't get it. How are they into like killing animals? And then I thought, well, I think in A Course in Miracles, they think everything is a dream. That I'm a dream person eating a dream animal in a dream. That the world is just a dream that we're trying to wake up from. And so that's why they're not opposed to killing animals and eating animals. And so then I woke up. And that's it. I woke up with this thought of, really like, what the hell was that about? And so I don't know if y'all want to discuss it or tell me what you think about that dream, or...
I think that dream is telling you that you can't swallow the Course in Miracles bullshit. But that's just my cynical opinion.
Wellness teacher's always trying to upsell you on that last class.
Right.
They're as bad as mechanics.
Sounds
Yeah,
like a
don't
pyramid
the drug
scheme.
dealers give you a couple of hits for free before they start charging you?
That's for sure. Just a little taste so you'll come back for more.
The taste, baby.
Well, after we talked last weekend, I could think of all sorts of connections in your dream to what you were talking about.
Tell me about it.
Well, you were saying something about kind of always searching and never settling on one specific type of religion or set of deities or something like that. And I think that's the not swallowing. You can learn and you can take a lot of courses and further yourself, but you're not a believer. You are, but you're not. You just won't swallow it. You just won't take that step into that not determination, that I can't think of the word.
Like
right now,
full commitment.
Commitment. That's the word. Yeah. The commitment.
I was going to suggest
into the one thing.
indoctrination.
Drinking the Kool-Aid.
Yeah, which you don't have to. That might be a battle, inside yourself, that you're not, just feel like you can't settle on one thing. You've got to be looking around and like you're searching for something. I think you said something about that too.
Thank you, Josh. Anybody else? Anything come up for you when I was telling you that dream? Any thoughts?
Well, I was going to try to tell you about the dream that I had. I still want to tell you about, but it had to do with being at a cafe, which I think is really interesting, that the place that you're at is where you're trying to get your substance, where you're trying to get your fuel and everything. and your plate is very different. Your plate has everything on it, which I think to me makes there's no in my position. There's no one way to believe that's right. And so, but it's fine to have your bread, mashed potatoes, and roast beef on your plate as part of it, but your plate doesn't look like that. And I think that's really interesting to me and what you're trying to tell yourself. And I believe that dreams are you speaking to you. And the thing about the reason you don't know who's behind the door when it's knocking is because you're not fully aware. But if everything's connected, if everything is you, the total awake part of you knows exactly who's on the other side of the door and put that person there for the not quite awake person to see and to meet and to interact with. So.
Thank you, Shane. Donka Shane. Donka Shane. No, sorry. Diane's shaking her head. All right, well, I just wanted to share that with you guys, see what you thought. I guess we can go ahead and move into the chanting. I never know what to call these things because I really never know what we're going to talk about, but I call this suffering. What is it good for? And maybe we'll go down that goat trail in some way. But one of the things that I've noticed that almost every major religion hates the world. The world is a bad place. In other words, we're born in sin. From birth, we came into sin. That's Christianity and Buddhism. You're trying to escape the world. You're trying to get off this wheel of rebirth. In Hinduism, same thing. You keep being born again. You're trying to find moksha or liberation where you're not born on this planet again. Islam, which I don't know much about. There's some heavenly realm I assume you go to if you follow the teachings of Muhammad. But it's all not based on this planet. Not the major religions, anyway. I know there's nature religions and there's other things that are more earth-based or nature-based, but I'm talking about like the three major world religions. They hate the world. The world is a place that is evil. It's associated with sin and death and evil, and you're always trying to either get to a heaven or trying to remake this earth. And even in A Course of Miracles too, this is just a dream, and we're trying to wake up from this dream. And when we wake up, we find out that we're actually in heaven, safe with God, and we've never been anywhere else. That we have always been in heaven, but right now we're dreaming this world. And so once again, you're being taught to disassociate yourself from this life and this world. And so I thought we might, and that, constantly pushing something away that's all around you, trying to negate your own reality, that is creating suffering. So if you're trying to follow a spirituality of any kind that negates your daily existence, that would bring on suffering. So because you'll be seeing a very dualistic reality. You have to live and go to work and have relationships and be in this world, but they're all constantly telling you not to be of this world. That there's a heavenly kingdom, or there's an afterlife, or there's a better rebirth, or there's something, but it's not here. Your happiness is not here. It's always over there. So those are some of the things that I would like to talk about during the discussion today. So I guess be thinking of that. And Diane, you want to pull the chants up on the screen? All right, so enter a meditative state. Connect with your center. If you have your microphone on, if you would please turn it off so we don't get feedback. But I would appreciate if you would chant along with me, just to kind of enter into a sacred space where anything can happen. And just with a little gratitude that we're here today together. We're not in a hospital. We're not laying on our deathbed. We're not having to work today. We're here together just to enjoy whatever arises. Refuge in the three jewels. I take refuge in the Buddha, the one who shows me the way in this life. I take refuge in the Dharma, the way of understanding and of love. I take refuge in the Sangha, the community that lives in harmony and awareness. Dwelling in the refuge of Buddha, I clearly see the path of light and beauty in the world. Dwelling in the refuge of Dharma, I learn to open many doors on the path of transformation. Dwelling in the refuge of Sangha, shining a light that supports me, keeping my practice free from obstruction. Taking refuge in the Buddha and myself, I aspire to help all people recognize their own awakened nature, realizing the mind of love. Taking refuge in the Dharma in myself, I aspire to help all people fully master the ways of practice and walk together on the path of liberation. Taking refuge in the Sangha in myself, I aspire to help all people build fourfold communities to embrace all beings and support their transformation. The Buddha in myself, the Sangha in myself, the Dharma in myself. We'll bow to the shrine 3 times. Offering of flowers. This spread of flowers, fresh hued and fragrant, I offer at the sacred lotus feet of the noble sage, with flowers in great variety, the Buddha I adore, and by this merit may I gain release. Even as these flowers may fade, so too my body will pass away. Offering of light. With lights brightly shining, dispelling the gloom, I honor the fully awakened, that light of the triple world who dispels the gloom of ignorance. Offering of incense. Perfumed with infinite qualities, the Tathagata, fragrant of face and form, I revere with incense, sweet and penetrating. Offering of water. We offer water, symbol of purity, to the Buddhas of all times. May this water both wash away the obscurations of ignorance and sate the thirst of craving and aversion. Notes on mindful breathing. Anapadasati is mindfulness on respiration. Ana means inhalation. Anapada means exhalation. Concentration on the breathing process leads to one-pointedness of the mind and ultimately to insight, which enables one to attain liberation, freedom, and perfection. The Buddha practiced concentration on respiration before he attained enlightenment, but this beneficial meditation may be practiced by any person, irrespective of religious beliefs. We will inhale through the nostrils normally, without strain, without force. While doing so, the mind may wander, but one should not be discouraged. When a wandering thought is detected, label it as thinking and return to the breath. All right. We'll do 15 minutes of meditation. See what arises in our thoughts, in our spirit, in our minds. Enter into the silence. And we'll be back for more with the dark.